Shalom, Markins, is Rakam Akapash from Jim and Stunning, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bah Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Shevach HaKodash. Going to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful that's pushing his truth in all sincerity. Back in with another video, and I wanted to, talk about this universal basic income, which is, has been spoken about a lot over the last, these last few years. I'm just say that, right? Been going on longer than that, but it's been talked about more and more as we progress. And the setting up the scene or the conditions needed for them to propose this and bring this about, right? Because that's what they're currently enacting right now, right? And they're creating the conditions of a need to bring in a universal basic income, which is ultimately going to lead to the MOTB, right? Because you're not going to just here it tells you it's no means tested, right? But I guarantee you, which I'm going to ask it afterwards, that you have to be ID'd to get it first. You have to be identified as a resident to be able to receive it, right? And that is where that whole digital ID system comes into play, which is what they're currently trying to install all over the earth, right? So yeah, it's not means tested in the sense that you have to prove that you're disabled, or you prove that you're working, or prove that you got children to get different types of benefits that they would give you usually. But you're gonna have to be a citizen to receive it, right? It's gonna be at least that much, which means you have to have proof of identity, right? And like I said, that's why they're developing this whole digital ID system, right? Because it's because we're having problems with immigrants and all kinds of things now, right? So we have to find a way to identify people effectively, to know who's getting what and so on, right? But I just wanted to go into this, right? So typed in Google here, universal basic income, and it's telling me this, right? It says is a periodic unconditional cash payment to all citizens, kind of a key word, right? What defines you as a citizen? They're gonna tell you what that means. They're gonna who's a citizen, who's not a citizen, right? An illegal immigrant is not a citizen, right? He has no paperwork. You don't know who the fuck he is, don't know where he come from, don't know nothing about him, right? But us currently with passports and stuff, yeah, we're citizens. We've got birth certificates. Was born here, blah 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 blah. You're deemed a citizen. You're a part of you're in their system. But they want to update that system because of fraud and fake paperwork and these different types of things, right? They want it more digitized and easy managed and ubiquitous with our systems. And so you're gonna have to upgrade your typical proof of citizenship with this new digital system, right? It's the same if you apply for universal credit, which is our benefit system here in the UK. You have to give information about yourself, right? And yes, that's means tested, so there's different information you need to give them. But the first thing is your basic thing is your identity that you can claim in this country. All right, so it's going to be the same here, right? Except that it's going to be required. A digital system is going to eventually be implemented, to receive this, right? Which plays into the MOTB, right? Because you won't be able to receive it. Well, let's get it right. Let's get this one out of the way, right? Revelations 13 and 16, and he calls it all, both small and great. Oh, that sounds universal, right? Because it's universal basic income, right? Well, this is a universal MOTB, right? So it's in line with it, right? He calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or on their foreheads, right? And this is going to make up part of your identification, your ID, right? And it's not, we're not at that part yet where he's sort of saying that you got to have one of these implants in yet, right? But he is suggesting that you need digital ID, right? And just to shore that up later on down the line, okay, you're gonna be required to take this this mark. All right. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell. Okay, buying and selling is a transaction. So giving money, which is part of this universal basic income, is receiving, right? The transfer can't take place. The person can't, quote unquote, sell you money or give you money, right? If you can't receive it, if you can't buy it, it's just a figurative transaction, right? You can't do that. You can't receive money or send money or whatever if you are not a part of the system. If you know anything about these digital wallets, they have addresses, right? And if you ain't got an appropriate address, it can't be sent, and it ain't gonna be sent. And this whole idea of banking the unbanked, you don't need a physical address anymore. You just need, ID in a digital wallet. That's it. Right? You can receive, your credits or whatever, right? Whatever they're going to be calling it. Here what they got there, the crypto pound or whatever the hell they call it over here. These ideas of these cryptocurrencies, right? That's because that's what it is. It's digital currency, right? That's all it is. That's going to be your currency. Your paper currency is not going to be adequate anymore, and like I say, it's been devalued every day. And talks of stable coins and all these types of things. They're all things of the near future that these governments want to implement. For their new system. All right. So again, he calls it all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right. So yeah, that's where it all leads to. But there's stages. So we've got the digital IDs being spoken about. We've got this stuff, universal basic income working in the background, being trialed in different countries. Currently, I believe it said Kenya and Wales. Yeah, Kenya and Wales is currently trialing it. But it's been on trial in other parts of Europe and different parts of the world. And so they're building a case for it. And the way how things are working in the world right now, AI is demolishing jobs. People's income is being smashed to bits. Right, people are being made poorer and poorer by this surge in technology. Right, so again, they're creating the scenario, the scene, the setting, or the conditions of needing this universal basic income and presenting this as a viable option to solve these problems that they're causing with the technology, with the AI and the robots and all these different types of things. Right, so let's get let's read this. Right, so. Again, universal basic income is a periodic, unconditional cash payment to all citizens, regardless of income or work status, designed to provide a safety net, reduce poverty, simplify welfare, and offer financial autonomy for education or career changes. While no country has a full national UBI, not yet, numerous trials are ongoing, like in Kenya and Wales, with proponents citing improved mental health, because everyone's got a mental health issue these days, right? Right, because men are just bugging out, right? Because they're being broken down psychologically and physically. It's being broken down with increased stress. Okay, which Esau is building. Is the reason it's being built up, right? All these different things, right? All these different stresses in life. With proponents citing improved mental health and workforce flexibility, and critics raising concerns about immense costs, right? Yeah, that's a heavy financial cost, right? A potential to disincentivize work, right? So though pilot results show mixed effects due to small sample sizes, right? Now, that could be true. Potential to disincentivize to work, right? Meaning, people won't feel the need to work because they're getting this basic income, right? That's a fair, argument to make. But I think when we read about this a little bit more, I think that's probably not likely to be the case, because the money that they're actually given isn't all that much. Right, so these people will probably have to find work from whatever jobs they are to live still, and this is this is why Elon's speaking for a universal high income, right? Which I'll get into in a minute. But yeah, the basic income, it sounds generous, but at the same time, what does it really cover? You're gonna have to work to cover the rest of it, right? But we'll get there, right? It says core principles, universal, given to everyone in a community or country, right? But you're gonna have to be registered. You ain't just gonna be able to get it. You're gonna be registered, right? Which means you're gonna have all that the digital ID set up and all that confirmation that that you belong here and that you can receive this and so on and so on, right? Unconditional, no means testing or work requirements, right? So you ain't got to do nothing for it. Okay, just be a citizen. That's all you need to be, right? Periodic, paid regularly. Example, monthly, right? So we don't know how they're gonna do it, but you're gonna get frequent payments, right? Top ups, cash payment, direct money, not vouchers. Now, the meaning of money is changing, right? This digital currency is going to be known as money, right? So, although it's not vouchers, guess what they can do with digital money? They can control what it's used for, when it's used, where it's used, right? I believe they call that tokenization, right? Where you can set parameters on the currency, right? So it can act like a voucher. It can act like the most restrictive voucher in the world. You buy a voucher, you can only use it in certain stores and whatever the case may be, right? For a certain amount, it expires at a certain date. Well, they could do that with the digital money. So money and tokens, right? Vouchers, they can be the same, right? In this, with these digital currencies, right? So yeah, it sounds good. Cash payment, spend on what I want. Yeah, for now. But when it gets changed over to the digital currency now, then those things are not going to be, you're going to be told what you can and can't spend it on. Potential benefits, proponents argue, right? Poverty reduction. There's people out of poverty by guaranteeing a minimum income, right? So it's good for those that ain't got no money at all. Yeah, cool. They're up automatically, they're up. Right? So simplified welfare replaces complex bureaucratic welfare systems. Yep, that's another plus, right? Because these systems don't work very well, right? Because they're not as a brother out of a car. You can't would say they're not ubiquitous. They don't function together well. All right, so it's complicated, right? So yeah, they simplify it, right? Improve health and autonomy, reduces stress, improves mental health, allows career changes or career care work, right? So I don't know what because this sounds like a contradiction at the end of the day, right? Because it's going to mention about all the AI and stuff replacing the jobs. It's why we're going to need this universal basic income. So what jobs or careers are they going to change to? Or they're just going to be like hobbies. I'm just going to go do a hobby. You don't get paid for it. I don't know. Or maybe I'll become an artist. Sell paintings. Yeah, you can make money off that, I guess. But in terms of like jobs, there's going to be less of them and more people not working. So I don't sound like that will work exactly, but yeah, you can become an artist, sure. All right, supports automation, funds citizens as robots displace jobs, right? So they know this is the thing, and we all seeing it, we're all hearing it, seeing it, right? Robots, AI, they're replacing jobs, the simple jobs that the simple worker, simple man can do, simple woman can do, is being taken away by AI, right? There's more simple jobs in the world than there are high level jobs, right? The high level jobs are harder to get, and there's few people in them, right? The simple jobs is all being automated. So that's the majority of people that are going to lose their jobs eventually with all these robots and AIs and stuff, right? So yeah, that's and to go into a job market where there's not many jobs, like I don't really see how that's supposed to work in terms of changing careers and stuff like that. But whatever. Criticisms and challenges. Opponents argue, right? High costs, extremely expensive, potentially costing billions. Well, on the scale of things, billions, I mean, America's in trillions of debt. Charge it, innit? Right? I don't think that'll be a big obstacle for them. Work I just said it earlier. Disincentive, work disincentive, right? Might discourage people from working, through trial, though trial suggests otherwise, right? Which makes sense because, like I said, right, it's going to tell you here, like I'll get down to it, right? Targeting issues doesn't focus solely on the neediest. Okay, cool. Real world examples and trials. In Wales, a trial for care leavers providing 1,600 a month, right? So, like I said, I don't think it will disincentivize people from working just because 1,600, like I said, although it sounds generous, doesn't cover much. You know, my rent in the poorest part, actually, it might be just outside the poorest part, but it's one of the poorest boroughs, right? Is he's trying to charge me 1,400 now, right, from next year. Yeah, it will be 1,400, right? That can't be all that I live on. If rent, and I'm at the lower end of rent for from a 1 bedroom flat, right? I'm at the lower end of rent payments for just a 1 bedroom place, right? Where the hell is the rest of my money? I'm gonna afford my bills, the rest of my bills. So you would still need to work, find work, but that's not gonna be possible for everybody because, like I said, they've been displaced by robots, right? So maybe this model won't work as is being sold right now, right? Because these are small samples, so they can see an isolated situation. Yeah, it works, but if everybody is being displaced by robots, these people that are still working on the £1,600 a month can't go work. So 1,600 is not going to be enough, right? So, but I'm gonna get into that in a minute, right? So yeah, Wales, £1,600 a month. Kenya, the largest ongoing trial by Give Directly, providing 75 cents a day. Wow, that sounds crazy. 75 cents a day, right? And their sample size is in the thousands, right? 75 cents a day is like nothing over here. It's crazy, right? UK, England, small trials by think tank Autonomy giving £1,600 a month to participants. All right. So they're the current programs that are ongoing right now. The Wales one's been going on for the last, since 2022, for a 3-year trial, 500 people. So it's quite a small sample, right? Right. Let me read this because it says, "What does Elon Musk say about universal basic income?" Because he's been speaking about it. He thinks it's a great idea, right? But he does say this, right? Which is probably more likely, would more likely need to happen. But like I said, Esau doesn't really care about you getting paid. He cares about you submitting to the system. That's what he cares about. He cares about you taking the MOTB. That's what he really cares about. So he's gonna fish you in, with these ideas of, oh, we're gonna support you even though you're gonna lose all your jobs. You're gonna be provided for. We're gonna look after you. Esau's never looked after fucking nobody in his damn life, right? But he's gonna do all this now. You're gonna sack. You're gonna get you fired. Bringing all this technology, you're gonna get you fired, and he's gonna rule you in with this universal basic income. Everyone can be provided for, and we can all live good, and you won't have to work no more, and life's gonna be great. You won't own nothing, but you'll be happy. WF style, right? So yeah, what does Elon Musk say about universal basic income? AI Overview says Elon Musk sees universal basic income as inevitable, right? Why? Why does he see it as inevitable? Why are all these people working on it? Why are all these think tanks working on it? These things is where the global elite are moving things, with their organizations, and their companies and all these things. Digitization, universal basic income, implantables. That's the direction that they're moving in, right? So why they have all these meetings, the G20s and the Bilderberg meetings, and all these, because they're discussing how to move the world forward. They have decided, it has been decided, this is where they are going, right? They are currently doing trials, but this is where they want to take it. And like I said, it's inevitable. That is the goal. That is the goal, right? So yeah, inevitable due to AI-driven job displacement. Okay, another goal of DD is to have everything run on, well, not everything, but damn near everything run on AI and robots and all these different types of things, right? To lower costs, right? Lower the elite's costs, right? and to get you people dependent on the system. Okay, that's the goal. Like I said, they're setting up the scenario, the conditions of bringing this in by making you lose all your jobs, right? Making you making you lose all your jobs, making your money devalued. So you're all feeling poor and stressed out, and hopeless. But on the good side, we can provide you this universal basic income now, so you ain't gonna worry about, living, so to speak. We will make sure you're fed and watered. All right. It says, but envisions a universal high income where advanced tech provides abundant goods and services for all, eliminating scarcity, not just a minimal safety net. Though critics question funding and societal impact, he believes AI will handle most tasks, freeing humans for purpose-driven activities, requiring a fundamental economic shift to higher level abundance, making traditional work optional. Sounds great, doesn't it? Sounds like a dream. But we know this is not the dream that we're being sold right now. ESO world is not a dream, man. It's just one hellish nightmare. Okay, that is progressively getting worse, right? There is no dream utopia end for this kingdom. All right. It says key aspects of Musk's universal high income view says AI as the driver. Rapid AI and automation will make many human jobs obsolete, necessitating a new economic model. And that's what's being developed, a new economic model. Right? It's a new system. From basic to high, he distinguishes his idea from basic UBI, proposing that advanced AI and robotics will create so much wealth, sounds like Trump, that everyone can have high quality essential food, housing, healthcare, transport. That's the lie. That is the lie. These men are lying, right? Abundance, not scarcity. The goal is a state of sustainable abundance, making money less relevant as needs are met universally. Work as optional. With AI handling necessities, work will become a choice for personal fulfillment rather than survival. Addressing societal challenges, Musk acknowledges potential social disruption and argues universal high income is a necessary response to technological change, preventing mass unemployment and inequality. It says funding, criticism concerns funding. How to finance a high income for everyone remains a major hurdle, especially given existing debt and strained social programs. Meaning and purpose. Critics worry that life without necessary work could lead to loss of meaning and purpose for individuals. Government feasibility. Skeptics question if governments can manage such a radical, costly system, especially when struggling with current welfare. Says Yahoo Finance. Right? So that's the dream that they're selling you. Okay, with this whole idea of universal basic income. But we know it's just a damn fucking lie. Right? They're going to implement this, but it's not going to be, you're going to have to be registered, digitally registered in the system to ultimately to keep receiving it. Because whether it comes out at the same time or before, right, you'll have to move on to a digital system. Because that will be happening, right? And so yeah, your access to that depends on whether or not you're going to be in this digital system, okay, which is going to be capped with the MOTB. All right, so whether you have access to these goodies or not, or as a form of it, right, is going to depend on whether or not you take that mark. Okay, but yeah, you see all of the good stuff that they're selling, right? But again, they're just setting up the condition for you to accept it, but and want it. Right? I'm going to read from Genesis chapter 27. This is verse 18. So when that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord how that our money is spent. My Lord also have our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord but our bodies and our lands. Right? So this is the entire Egypt went through the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of famine. So during the famine, right, people succumbed to the fact there was no food, right? And Egypt had all the grain. All right, so people sold everything that they had, including themselves in the end, right? Unable to eat and survive. All right. So in a similar situation we have here, people don't own nothing anyway. It's all being taken away from them. You might have a house, but only for so much longer. You don't really have nothing left to give. Esau has taken it all back anyway. All right, so you already got yourselves left, right? Which is you submitting yourself to this new system, right? Verse 19 says, "Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate." And Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them, so the land became Pharaoh's, right? So, in the time to come, we're also going to be, suffering from lack of substance, right? Famines, okay, are going to take place, right? And so you're going to be begging the government to step in and help. And like I said, the government, and these elites, they got tons of great ideas, tons of ideas, right? That will help you in your time of need, right? It just so happens none of them really only benefit you. Okay, they benefit the elites more than it benefits anybody else. All right, because they want to get you with the mark of the beast. Okay, so that's what's going on. They're setting up, the conditions for these things to exist, right? That you're gonna want to be a part of, right? You want to do these things, right? Because you want to be able to eat, you want to be able to survive. So a lot of people are gonna take up Esau's suggestions, This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 4. Some verse 3, right? "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they were few." The grinders are the workers, right? And they're becoming fewer and fewer because they're getting replaced and displaced by robots and AIs and stuff, right? They're becoming surplus to requirements, right? And like I say, these people that lose their jobs, maybe they had a half decent job, but now they have to go, if they can get a job, right? They have to go on a low wage job now, but it's not enough, right? So more and more people are struggling and getting pushed further and further into poverty. These very things that's supposed to be helping mankind, supposedly, right, is damaging mankind. It's causing harm to mankind, and everybody knows it. All these these leaders know it, and they see it. All these company CEOs, they know it. They don't give a shit, because for them it's about profits, right? And it's about setting up the agenda, right? They're here purposely to displace people into poverty, because that's what they've been told to do, right? So these guys that are falling into poverty are going to be dependent on the government to help them, right? And we always talk about the welfare, the cost of welfare, and how big it is, and how many people are in it. It's growing, right? And right now, they're talking like they ain't got no answers for it. They're just trying to get people off the benefits because it's costing the government too much and all that kind of business. So they're just, taking money away from people, just taking money away from people. And now they're just struggling more. Oh, it's all right, you can go to work. Man's disabled and whatever, but they want them to go to work. But that's not a real answer, because you're just, it's mashing up everything. People are getting mad upset about it, But there is an answer in the background. Okay, one they're not ready to bring out just yet, but ones that they're working on, and this UBI is one of them. So again, the doors shall be shut in the street when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Right. So the grinders are sorry, I skipped some of that, didn't I? In the day, let me go back to verse 3, right? So in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the window will be darkened. Okay, there's a whole bunch of uncertainty, for them, right? A lot of uncertainty, man. But they're gonna come out with the solution. And the doors shall be shut in the streets, right? All these businesses, these smaller businesses, even some of these larger businesses, they're closing down, right? And they're being bought up by the likes of like Amazon or somebody, some bigger corporation, will buy them up, right? And everything's been more centralized, being owned by a very few, mega corporations. It's all for control. Okay. Um. So there, when the sound of the grind is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Right. So yeah, jobs are being taken away. Okay, it means money's being taken away. Okay, people are being made poorer and poorer. It's Isaiah 19:15. Psalm 14, right? The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. They have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit, right? All these nations are on decline, or looking like they're on decline, right? Because it's done on purpose, right? The elites are collapsing, these governments, these nations, right, to establish their new world order, right? To set up a new system, right? So that's why it looks like everything is just falling apart, right? That perverse spirit. Verse 15, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, right? They're losing their jobs, right? To AI and to robots, right? Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail or branch or rush may do. And in that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. Right? The Lord's going to judge the land of America, is represented by Egypt here. All right, but yeah, man, there's gonna be no work in Egypt, in Esau's kingdom, right? These people are gonna be losing their jobs, right? There's gonna be a massive outcry. All right, it's Hosea chapter 12, and verse 7. So he is a merchant; the balances of the sea are in his hand. He loveth to oppress. Esau is MO is just to put everybody in slavery, right? And so he's creating these circumstances where you're being forced into slavery. Right, same way with how the famine pushed the Egyptians and those about to submit themselves unto Pharaoh. Right, the famine made them do that. Right, Esau is that famine. Esau is that plague, that curse, that is forcing people, into slavery. He's manipulating things from things near, things afar. Right, globally, affecting things globally, so you have nowhere else to turn. And the only thing you could do is accept this universal basic income, because without it, what can you do? Right? But like I said, there's going to be an extra hurdle that's going to be thrown in there at some point in the form of the the MOTB, okay, the RFID microchip. All right. And like I say, you got Elon Musk and these guys, they're trying to sell it to you like, it's a great dream, a great vision that's being done, that's going to solve all the problems of humanity. We could be no poor no more and all this kind of business, right? That's just a lie. The same lie that the WEF say, when you're gonna own nothing but you'll be happy. That's a lie, right? You're gonna be slaves, man. You're gonna be more slaved up than we have been currently. You know what I'm saying? Right? You're gonna be restricted everything that you do, right? And I say it's all gonna be controlled by the elites and their AIs and stuff like that. Controlling your movements, controlling what you do with your life, how you do it. In Psalms 55 verse 21. So the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Right? Esau was really waging war on the people, right, to subdue them. Right? So his words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. And this is how Esau fights. This is part of his warfare. His lies. Right? Same way when he went over to the Americas and he linked up with the tribe of Gad, man came all peaceably, trying to befriend them. Right? But then behind their back, there were stabbing people, stabbing them in the back, and reneging on promises and treaties made, and turning tribes against each other. This is how Esau fights, right? With subtlety, with deceit, right? So he's got thinking that, he's trying to do something right, he's trying to help people, right? Elon's trying to save everybody, right? He's this fucking genius, so-called genius. He's got all the bright ideas. He's going to save mankind. Yeah, you need a universal high income. And, we're just going to, we're just gonna run with that. Why are you losing all your jobs? Because we're back in AI, we're back in AI and all this type of stuff here, and we're just gonna give you money. Like what the man used to do back in Rome, right? When shit was going a bit south, in the nation, man. You had the Caesar, do bread and circus, right? And man, would be throwing out money and whatever, right, to appease people. Well, this is what this is. It's just to distract you, because that's what the bread and circus, was about. It's to distract you from the fact that Rome was being fucked. It's falling apart. That you man will go further and further into poverty. And that's it. It's just gonna be a distraction to really take your attention off the fact that Esau's put you into digital slavery, man. To hoodwink you, man, taking the MOTB. You're gonna be destroyed. It's all a distraction, man. All lies, right? Let me close up with this. This is Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for light as iron rust, if so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou had wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away, right? This is the same devil that has always existed, right? He's been a devil to everybody on the planet, right? He's been Satan to everybody on the planet, right? And yet we want to trust him. You want to trust him with your future, right? With, going forward. Like he's changed, like he cares. He's never cared. He's never cared about the well-being of others. So don't believe for a second that he cares about the fact that you might not going further into poverty, you're losing your jobs. He doesn't care, because if he cared, he would just stop it. The technology would be outlawed or something. You know what I mean? He wouldn't go on. But because of because he got agendas that he needs to do, productivity, profit, and all these different types of things that he needs to do, right? It's gonna go forward. He's got a system he needs to run. He needs AI for it, right? And that's why who cares about? He told you need to be green, but he don't care about what the water he's using to cool down these fucking super servers, these supercomputer. What do I fucking call them, man? To cool these server rooms or whatever, right? For his AI to run. Oh, forget about being green then, isn't it? Right? We need the AI. We need the AI. No, he's got agendas, man, and you're just not a part of it. You're not a part of the agenda in terms of things that he wants that's going to benefit him. He wants to reduce population on the planet. So when it comes to the agenda, man, ain't nothing getting in the way of it. All right. Verse 12 says, Satan not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And now at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him and he sins, who will pity? For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. Elon Musk is nothing but a damn fucking enemy, man. All these leaders are nothing but damn enemies. Right? So, but in his heart, he imagined how to throw thee into a pit, how to throw you into a snare, get you trapped up in a precarious situation, right? A position of weakness, right? A position of dependency, right? A slave. That's what he's planning on doing, right? So he's talking all this shit, oh, we're gonna do this and do that, and that's gonna help with this, and we're gonna get rid of poverty, whatever, man. Okay, all them things are just simply lies, right? It says he will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help thee, nothing but fucking pretenders, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands, and whisper much and change his countenance. Right, and so when these elites get in their position, man, you're gonna see a very different side to them. Because at that point, there's gonna be nothing that you man could do. There's no rebellion that you could do after that. After you've taken the MOTB, but there's no rebellion that you could muster up. that's gonna do anything. Because hey, numerically we got the numbers, man. He saw in the elites, even though they got all the firepower, okay, we still outnumber them, right? So in isolated situations, yeah, these men, could get it in it, but like there is no option of any type of revolt or anything like that, man. Once you got that MRTV on, because you can be killed remotely. you know, any dissent in your voice, in your thoughts. Come on, man. What's my man? The Bond villain from the WEF. What's his damn name again? Oh, I can't think of it. Anyway, he wanted to know what people were thinking. Wouldn't it be nice if we can tell what each other was feeling and thinking? No, because if I feel a certain particular type of way, and you don't like it, man, you got the ability to shut me off. So no, I'd rather you wasn't in my mind, and knowing what I'm thinking, and you can sense that when you're agitated. Nah, that's all right, bro. You don't need to know all that about me. It's crazy. But he said that with a bold face, like that was a normal thing to want. Wouldn't it be good? No, it would not be good. We don't trust you guys, man. We don't trust you devils, and neither should you ever be trusted. But yeah, we're gonna see the different sides of these devils, man. Once they're in that position, when they've got you all chipped up, because they ain't got to hold back no more. They ain't got to do all the false pretenses and the facades that they put on. They can just be the devil, and no one's gonna be able to do nothing about it. But yeah, but that's it for the lesson anyway. Lord, this has been edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.